Greetings all! Today, we will be examining the uncommon bug water-type Pokemon Surskit, the Pond Skater Pokémon, and its relatively rare bug flying-type evolution Masquerain, the Eyeball Pokémon. While they might not outwardly seem like a real threat, the members of the Surskit family are at least very cute creatures that can more than make up for their weaker forms with finesse in the sky and an interesting trick as juveniles. Surskit possess light blue, round bodies with a series of 4 spindly legs that sprout from the sides of their form and are extremely light and flexible, allowing these creatures to move around on the water at a surprising pace. Their eyes are completely black with red crescent-shaped markings underneath them, and the top of their head is capped by a beige structure that ends in a point, which is used to release a tasty syrup that helps these creatures avoid being eaten. Their evolved form, Masquerain, have teardrop-shaped main bodies with a white outer exoskeleton and 2 distinct body sections. Their lower section possesses a series of 4 small wings that these creatures use as their way of moving around in the air delicately and finely, moving and turning on a dime and maneuvering through the air with great ease. Their upper form has a larger pair of white, orange, and red powdered antennae that look almost like eyes, and it houses their beady black eyes with white pupils and orange face, and ends in an elongated point. The members of the Surskit family are unique in their evolutionary development in that they completely change form and type as they go from juveniles to adults, and this is primarily due to the way in which they have come to disguise themselves from predators. For one thing, the larval state of this family, Surskit, very much move around and look like water striders in their form, but in truth, they are actually moth larvae that have only adopted this form because it reduces the number of different predators that can target them, effectively eliminating most land-borne predators and only leaving them with birds and other water-type Pokemon to be concerned about. In this state, these creatures are quite weak and don't have much going for them, with a weak Bubble Beam attack being the best water-type offensive attack they can learn naturally. Surskit tend to avoid conflict anyways, fleeing from predators in most cases if they are not cornered, which helps to compensate for this. Once they manage to evolve, however, they lose their water-type attributes completely and become bug flying types, not only resulting in a change in their EV yield from 1 in speed to 1 in special attack and special defense, but also radically altering their possible abilities and the moves that they can learn. In particular, Surskit have exclusive access to moves like Bubble Beam, Agility, Mist, Haze, Aqua Jet, Baton Pass, and Sticky Web, while their evolved form, Masquerain, instead get access to Ominous Wind, Gust, Air Cutter, Scary Face, Stun Spore, Silver Wind, Air Slash, Whirlwind, Bug Buzz, and Quiver Dance. As far as their abilities are concerned, because of their ability to walk on water, Surskit can move faster on it than land and can have the Swift Swim ability as a base ability, while those that can readily hydrate themselves and heal their wounds with fresh water can also have Rain Dish as a hidden ability. Their evolved form, on the other hand, thanks to the eye spots on their wing-like antenna, naturally possess Intimidate as a base ability, while those that are not quite as scary but good at creeping others out at the very least can have Unnerve as a hidden ability. In terms of stats, in the case of Masquerain, like many bug-type Pokemon of their stature, these creatures are not incredibly strong on the physical end and only have decent stamina and agility for a Pokemon of their type, with their base HP and speed stats at least being above average for a fully evolved bug-type Pokemon. However, their special stats are surprisingly strong and they can make good use of them in a fight, so their base special attack and special defense stats are above average for both a fully evolved bug and flying-type Pokemon. Everything else, though, is below average. As such, while they might not seem incredibly dangerous, frail as they might be, these moths are definitely tricky customers that have a lot of unique powers at their disposal and can definitely make their presence known in a fight, even if they might not always last that long. Surskit live fairly simple lives in freshwater ponds, particularly ones that are stagnant and choked with weeds, as they often have the highest concentration of microbes and small insects that these creatures feed on, which sadly does put them into competition with Pokemon like Dewpider, as they usually feed on the same food resources. These creatures have the unique capacity to actually walk on water, but while they are fairly lightweight, this mainly comes down to being due to a thick oil that they excrete from the tips of their legs that repels the water beneath them, making it possible for them to readily skate across the surface of any body of water. These insectoids are usually quite passive in nature and do their best not to get in the way of others, but if they are targeted by a predatory attack, they do have one form of defense that helps to keep them alive more often than not. When these Pokemon are confronted by a potential predator, they will release a sweet, sugary syrup from the tip of their head and use it as bait. On the one hand, bird Pokemon hate the sweet taste of the fluid and will leave these creatures alone the moment they taste it, with only the most desperate of hunters being willing to eat them and endure the sickening taste of the fluid in their bodies. On the other hand though, this works equally well for other types of predators, as while the syrup has no nutritional value, it is delicious to many people and Pokemon alike, often being used as a sweet spread on bread by people when concentrated, and other potential predators will often target and lap up the thick syrup to satisfy their hunger instead of the Surskit excreting it, thus keeping the beasts safe from harm. This helps Surskit survive for a good time until they are able to mature into their adult state, which thankfully does not take long and works to give them something to deter predators with more often than simply distract them. Masquerain might lack the water-type attributes that make their pre-evolution unique, but they more than make up for this with scare tactics and extreme maneuverability. Because these creatures are not incredibly gifted when it comes to direct defense, they have developed large antennae on their form that actually have very bright, distinct eye spots on them that are used to deter attackers and ward them off as best they can. These spots can be extremely intimidating to lesser creatures that don't know what to make of them, but they rarely work against more intelligent predators, leading these beasts to instead fly away the moment they notice that their scare tactics are not working. They are equally gifted in this as well, as while the 4 small wings they have on their lower body might not be incredibly powerful, instead of merely flapping up and down, they are instead attached to their frames at ball and socket joints that allow them to be rotated and swiveled at any angle and in any direction. As such, these creatures can effectively move their bodies around in the air as they please and in any sort of pathway, being able to stop on a dime when needed. The only disadvantage they have is that the thin membrane covering on their wings is highly absorbent, so if even a little bit of water gets on them, it will drag them down and keep them from flying correctly. As such, when these creatures feel an approaching rainstorm, their antennae will droop as the moisture levels rise, and they will hide under the eaves of houses and other structures until the rain passes, drying themselves off by facing the sun and continuing on their way as they feed on the small insects they devour for sustenance. Though they might not be among the most dangerous of Pokemon of their type, the members of the Surskit family are still unique creatures that can make quite the switcheroo in evolution to confound others. You might have to be careful about how you use them to make the most of their otherwise awkward offenses and defenses, but at the very least, these insectoids can make good friends for many and act as loyal allies that can use moves like Quiver Dance to truly make themselves a threat. Just do yourself a favor and try not to get in their faces. Surskit are more likely to run and hide than attack, but Masquerain won't be afraid to get in your face, and even if their eye spots don't work, you still might be in trouble if they decide to blow an ominous wind or a burst of stun spore in your face. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description. With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.